What is up, guys? Papoy here. A while back ago I got a request to make a tutorial on Particular and how I use it to make really nice particles. And in this tutorial I'm going to show you both how to use it to make like regular particles and smoky particles. And before we get in any further, I just wanted to let you know that I'm sorry for not posting any videos this week. I just got Battlefield 4 and Call of Duty Ghosts, but my graphics card was too poor to run them, so I had to upgrade it, and that took quite a long time. But as you can see here, I've already synced up my clip or my cinematic. I've pre-composed it, and I've motion tracked it like I've showed you before. Now it's a quite simple effect actually. It doesn't take that long time to do, since the camera tracker does all the hard work of tracking it and stuff. But if you just choose a point here by right-clicking and create null and camera, we can then hit Control Y or Command Y if you're on a Mac to make a new solid, and then call that Particular and hit OK. Then you can search up Particular in your Effects and Presets tab. Now this is a plugin from Trapcode. It's a really great plugin. I use it a lot. I really recommend you get it because you can make some really nice effects with it. But drag that onto our solid, and as you can see here, we have a small cluster of particles that is tracked to the scene, but we don't want that small cluster. So if we go into our emitter, we can change the emitter type to either box or a sphere, and then we can go to our emitter size X, Y, and Z and change these settings to make it look like they're covering the entire screen. Let's put this up to maybe 1500 or a bit up, and put the y-axis to about the same number, maybe a bit less since it's a bit smaller. And then you want to put the z-axis to a really large number because you want it you want to have that extra depth of the particles. And then you can make some more particles, maybe to change up the particles per second to 200. Then you get a bit more particles, maybe 250. And then you can go to your position Z if you want, and you can just drag that back. And that's why I created a null, because if you hit P on the null, you can just take the position, hit Control C, go back to your Particular, and then paste that to the position C axis. Now you don't have to do that, you can just have it regularly because we have such a high Z-axis number, but I just prefer to at least change it a bit. And then we can go to our velocity. Depending on what kind of scene you have, you can change this up differently, but for this one I'm actually gonna change it up a bit to about 150, because I think that can look pretty good. It all depends on how you want it to look. I really recommend you just play around with the settings and preview and all that. And then we can go to our particles, and here is where the real magic happens. Now you can, if we change the life per second up to about 4, and then we can change our sphere to glow sphere. Now you can use any one of these if you want. The textured polygon or the textured things, then you need a layer you can basically take a texture from. So those I regularly don't use, but I recommend you use sphere, glow sphere, cloudlet, or even streaklet if you want. But for this one I'm going to use glow sphere. And then we can bring down this feather a bit to 35, and then we can bring up the size to about 7, I think. Yeah, 7 looks pretty good. And actually we're gonna take the y-axis up a bit, to maybe, I don't know, 2000, and the y-axis or x-axis to 4000, because you want it to cover the entire screen basically. And now you can see we have some particles here. It's not really covering all the bottom, so we're gonna bring up the y-axis a bit more, and then we're gonna make some more particles by changing the particles per second to about 350, like so. And then we can go to our opacity and change this down to 70. And then we're gonna take up the opacity over life. Now, what you can do is you can take this one, but the like pyramid thing, but then they start off like with no size at all, and then they die out completely. What I usually do, I take this one and then I just take my mouse and drag it up like this, and drag it down a bit like so they don't die out completely. And then we're gonna go to set color and change that to over life. And then we're gonna go to then you can see we get like all these colorful things. And then we're gonna go to color over life, and I usually use this one, the gradient one, this one. And then you can change it to whatever color you use. I usually use purple because yeah, I think it looks really good in most scenes. So like maybe a bit dark purple and then a bit more bright one, like so maybe. That looks pretty good. I'm actually gonna change up the size even more to like 15 or even 17, I think. Yeah, 17 looks pretty good. And then we're gonna change the transfer mode to add, and then we're gonna go down to physics, and if you want to like the particles to fall down, you can just change up the gravity to about 3 to 500. I recommend using, I think. And then they're falling down a small bit. But I'm not going to have any gravity on this one. I'm just going to go down to air. And I'm going to go down to turbulence field. And I'm going to go to affect position and drag that up to like, I don't know, 50, I think I typically use. No, I'm going to use 75 for this one. And then I'm going to change the wind to like, I don't know, these I just mess around a bit. Take some random numbers, like so. That looks great. Now I really recommend you put on like a color correction, like a pretty bright one, because you can see that they don't really stand out that much, and that you want them to do. And that's about it, I think. I'm actually gonna search up glow, and I'm gonna drag that on as well to our particles to make them pop out even more. And gonna pump down the glow radius to about 50. No, 65, I think. 60. I can't decide. And then we're gonna change up the glow radius to about 50 as well, and the glow intensity to like 3. Yeah, 3 looks pretty good. And that's about it, I think. Now, they typically look a lot better with color correction, as I said. But you can also like use other particle types like the cloudlet. They can look pretty good as well. They look more crisp and stuff. And you can use maybe like the regular sphere if you want. They look a bit more boring in my opinion. And the streaklet as well. But yeah, that's basically it for the regular particles. Now I'm going to show you how to use the particular to make like smoke particles. So if you just delete this and delete the glow and search up particular again, drag that on, and just basically do the same thing as you did before. Change the emitter type to box, change the emitter size a bit, not the entire screen though, because we don't want it to affect the entire screen, because yeah, you want the smoke to be like in the tunnel, or you want it to fit into the scene basically. And you want to change up the the z-axis a lot as well, like so. Maybe bring it down a bit, like so. And that's basically it for now. I'm gonna change down the velocity to about 50 because we don't want it to move as much. And then we go to particle, and the big difference here is we're gonna change the life to 4 and then the size up to like a really big number because we want it to cover most of the screen, like so. And then we're gonna change down the opacity to about 70. That looks pretty good. And then we're gonna set the color to like a dark grayish, or maybe a bit light grayish. It depends on your scene a bit. And then we're gonna change the transfer mode to screen, or maybe add if you want, but I prefer screen, or maybe even lighten. No, screen. That looks best, in my opinion. And then we're gonna go to opacity actually, because we want to change it down even further. We want to change it down to 10 actually, like so. And now you can see we have like a bit of smoke, but you can see it's like it fades in, or it doesn't fade in nicely, or it just like pops up. And then we can go to our opacity over life and do the same thing as I did before. Take this pyramid and then just take it somewhere in the middle, drag it up, and then drag it down again, like so. Maybe in a bit more. That looks a bit better, I think. So now we got a really nice smoky effect. You can bump up the opacity to like 15 if you want, or even more if that's the thing you're looking for. But I really enjoyed this effect. It can make text pop out a lot, or other stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I'm gonna record clip syncing and pan crop tutorial after this one, and then I'm gonna go sleep. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.